Starburns Audio.
Thank you for listening to the Starburns Audio Podcast Network. We have so many great comedy shows to add to your playlist. Just last week on Starburns Audio, on the Season 2 premiere of Humans Who Make Games, Adam Conover talks to comedian Ron Funches and Jean Goudon, creative director of the Assassin's Creed series. On Boogie Monster, Kyle Kinane and Dave Stone share a perfect recipe for the quarantined cook. This week on Profiles and Eccentricity, they cover the history of the Khorasan Unity cult, folks for whom a flat earth is ridiculous because they believe it's really a concave shell. Search Starburns Audio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any podcast platform for our full list of shows, featuring hosts like Joe Coy, Amanda Seals, Jessica Chobot, and Jackie Johnson. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Starburns Audio. Enjoy the show. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep laughing.
Dan and Ren and Jay will share tales of folks so unaware they lack in grace and sometimes choose the life they choose will make the news. Breaking down each epic fail in Florida, there's half-price bail. I'm happy to say they couldn't make this up. So listen to our podcast jam with co-host Arm and Dan. Benders, don't be a jerk, cause when the music hits the funny hits and we are gonna take you down. Stick around. Make a sound, hunker down, it's Dumb People Town.
Hey, Townies, welcome to another episode of Dumb People Town. Population you?
Population Santino.
Cheeto.
No, I'm not
Cheeto
dumb.
Santa.
Yeah,
No,
you're
but
not dumb, but you are in the town, and
Yeah,
we
you're
love
right.
to have you.
You've
here,
entered
right.
Dumb People Town. It's a twilight zone of dumbness. It's basically we believe the world's getting dumber.
Yeah, it is.
Don't you think so?
There's no doubt.
Or
As
dumb and smart are fighting, and dumb's just beating it down with that day drinking dumb strength.
Yeah, but I like day drinking, so I'm not
Day
going to hate
drinking's
on that at
solid,
all.
but like some people who don't know how to stop, like that's where it gets into
yeah,
trouble.
I think more than 3 drinks and you're done for the day.
Right.
I think if you have up to 3, you're good, but after 3, you're napping and you're out. You're
That's
done.
it.
We have a shirt that we will be selling, by the way,
It's
at
out.
all of our live events, and it's out right now at Fluffy
6 p.m. is the 3 a.m. of day drinking.
Ooh,
Isn't that the
that's
truth?
really good.
It's
Kinda
kind of the
truth.
truth.
That
It's
is exactly the
all
truth.
bad stuff happens at 6 p.m. if you've been drinking all day.
Yeah, really bad. I mean, for me, it's mostly a nap. I just go home to my wife and take a nap.
And
That's
she's
nice.
like, "What have you been doing all day?" You're like, "Working. I've been
I just
working."
came from the gym.
the gym.
Gym.
Just hanging out with Jim.
We should also admit that there's somebody else hanging around town today
Yes.
in the studio with
Just
us.
off mic.
Her presence is felt. It's one of our favorite people in the world. This
My
is
grandmother,
Dan's grandma.
Rosemary Van Kirk, the
She-
matriarch.
She's awesome. Welcome, Rosemary.
I tell people she's a postcard grandma.
Grandma
Doesn't
Rose.
she look like a postcard
like
grandma?
if I were to be like, go,
Like if Norman Rockwell drew
or
a
if I
grandma.
told someone,
Yeah.
go paint a grandma. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
There
paint
she
a
is.
grandma.
Perfect.
She's seen a lot of dumb stuff in her day too. I mean,
Mhm.
again, remember she's Rochelle, Illinois. It's a lot of it's born there. You know what I mean? But she, I know her presence will be here as we go through these great stories. And so, Andrew, we get our awesome fans send us like these great stories.
We've never heard 'em.
We've never heard them. Dan's barely heard them, and the four
I
of
like
us
it.
are just going to try and figure it out. So
Makes sense of that.
Are you ready to jump into one?
I'm totally into it.
do
I
it.
just
Do
want to
it.
note Grandma Rose's cane is real dope.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's
Is it?
amazing.
See-through, it's crystal.
Yeah.
It's got
Perfect.
2 goldfish
Liquid
in it.
cocaine, baby. Solidified liquid cocaine cane.
Grandma, you live whatever life you want.
That's
okay?
right.
That's right.
He was telling her to do heroin. He was like, I said
Stop.
if you made it to
She's
80.
88.
That's what he said.
She's doing HGH. Do whatever you want.
At this
You
point,
should start doing steroids.
She should do
She should do
steroids.
Conseco steroids.
Just
Do
a cycle.
PEDs. Get on
Start
some
hanging out
PEDs.
with Sammy
Go for that
Sosa.
home run record, Grandma. All right. She has a great cut.
She
Okay,
does.
here we go.
Yes.
This was sent in by Nick Irvin at Supermans_Papa.
Love it.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Portland, Oregon.
Ooh.
I know.
It's
We don't
gonna
get a lot
involve
from Oregon.
It's going to
You-
involve a strip club
Yeah.
or a coffee shop
or both.
A former Southern Oregon property owner has been charged with
Former Southern Oregon property.
So he lost that right.
Yeah.
He lost his
Right.
property.
I'm seeing some foreshadowing.
yeah. Has been charged with assault on a federal officer after authorities say an FBI agent sent to the property was wounded by a booby trap.
Okay.
Now, this is like old school Goonies, which is so appropriate if you're in Oregon.
My son saw the Goonies for the first time
And?
at a sleepover on Saturday.
What did he
night.
think?
Loved it.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thought
thank
that
God.
Chunk was the funniest thing.
He
He's
is the
like,
funniest thing.
knock the ball off. That was my favorite part of the statue.
Can you imagine if
loved
your
it.
son didn't like it? You'd have to just give him away.
I'd be like, I think we're done here.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not my
My
son
work,
anymore.
I can't
tried.
do anything else with you.
Like if your son was like, I didn't think Data was cool, I'd be like, get out of this house.
well, the
well,
point
we're
is,
selling you on the internet now.
I think as a 10-year-old boy, he loved it because it's just a bunch of boys doing.
And then
stuff.
there are some bad words, and then there are
Uh-huh.
there's
Yeah.
some moments in it
and
where
you're
you're
scared of Mama Fratelli.
like, totally.
You're
There's
Booby
so
scared
traps.
of her when
Booby
they're
traps.
when
Booby
they're like,
traps.
yeah,
Booby
traps.
traps.
when they're
is
ordering
such-
the water or whatever in the place, and it's like brown. And then when you first meet Sloth, and you're
In the
like,
cave.
yeah, but you can hear him outside the
Yeah,
door. If you're
yeah.
10, that's the
It's
perfect
a-
level of
I
scary.
imagine Baby Ruth makers pushed really hard for that to end up in the cut.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
bet
Oh,
people were
yeah.
jockeying for position.
Oh,
on that
yeah.
to be,
Sure.
Yes.
for
yes.
sure.
that was
Mark.
like the first product placement.
Yeah, they,
in it. Well,
and they said it a lot.
They did, and they totally did, and I bet they didn't even get the bump they wanted.
No.
But it is amazing, and
They're
maybe
still
even later.
getting it.
They're still getting it.
Still a little bit.
But I mean, that is
So booby trap. This
booby
guy's
tra-
flat out booby trap. Tried to booby
straight
trap.
up 80s movies.
But
Like I'm an 80s.
That's what I was
movie
going to
house.
say, because there's all these things from the 80s that are gone now. Dobermans, quicksand, oversized knives.
Pretending like a dead guy is actually alive and taking him to parties. Like
One of the
that's
best movies of all
that's
time.
Done.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I miss goofy comedies. I really miss like
Slapstick.
I miss comedy where you just got sunk into the story, even though like Big is my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, really?
Amazing.
It's
And like you couldn't
Splash.
you couldn't
another
sell that
Tom
today.
Hanks.
Well, that's what I wish. I wish people recorded pitches. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you love to see the pitch for Weekend
my
at Bernie's
God.
and how they sold it? Just them and her being like, all right, let us take you on the weekend of your life.
I feel like I just feel like they wrote that. I feel like you couldn't pitch that. They're like, we just wrote this thing. It's too weird to tell you. Please just read it.
You know how corpses are hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Dead
if you
guys.
like, take a dead body and you tour it around town and just have fun with it.
But so 80s tropes. Another thing was I felt like so many movies incorporated
Booby
tripwires
traps.
and booby traps.
Booby traps
Yeah,
and
booby
tripwires.
traps.
That's how I learned to like walk backwards when someone's after you through the mud, so they think you kept going that way.
Ah.
There was so much that I took. Did any of you guys make booby traps when you were kids? On any-
Tripwires and
Yes, or
stuff?
anything. We used to do it up at the cabin. We would dig a
Tripwires.
hole and like cover it with sticks, and we would like pull
Leaves.
a branch back and like
Yeah, there were
tie
a
a rope
lot
to
of
it.
there were a lot of I crossed this wire and now a net is gonna pull my leg up.
You built one of those?
No, I'm saying
No,
like
we
that.
Oh my god,
I'm
the
saying
scars
that,
are on point
No,
in
no,
St.
no.
Louis.
No. That
Creve
exi-
de Cour's finest booby trap.
that
makers.
existed a lot in those movies.
Or
Yeah.
ropes with like rocks around the end that hit the ground.
Well, you
and
look
then
at like
can't
Delta Force and Predator. It's all booby traps, and then
Yeah.
obviously Goonies.
move. Rambo.
Did he? Yeah, he probably
He had
set
some booby
some up.
traps.
Yeah.
Home
Hell
Alone.
yes.
Rambo
Home Alone.
really-
Home Alone, probably the
Home
greatest
Alone.
booby trap
Home Alone,
sequence
yes.
in all of
Straight
film.
up. So this guy is home aloneing, but without.
He's
toys.
home aloneing as a property owner.
Yeah.
Okay, well, a former
As an
former,
adult.
Yes.
Right.
former.
Funny
property.
when you're a 9-year-old kid. When you're an adult, not so
Not so
funny.
funny anymore.
Law enforcement officers responded to the home in the small town of Williams, that's in Oregon, on September 7th at the request of a real estate lawyer tasked with selling the property. While the person's still in it, or wasn't there
He
anymore?
doesn't want to leave.
This one, Lee?
This was reported by the Oregonian/Oregon Live.
I blame Cliven Bundy.
Really? Oh, was that the guy
Yeah,
who had
it's
the
like-
standoff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I'm not gonna leave, and maybe he was right. I saw a whole documentary about it. He might have been right, but I
Really?
mean, like, yeah, but
Still, get out.
Well, a criminal complaint filed to the U.S. District Court in Medford said officers found traps throughout the property from spike strips to a circular hot tub. This is my favorite one.
circular hot tub.
Turned on its side and rigged to roll over anyone who triggered the tripwire.
That's awesome.
Quote, it was much like the scene from the movie Indiana Jones and
Instead
the
of a
Raiders
boulder,
of the
it's
Lost
a-
Ark.
oh
Yes,
my
it's
God.
a hot tub.
It's a jacuzzi
Which is, the dumb people town Boulder is a hot tub, right?
on its side.
Yes.
An above ground
Hot tub
Hot
on
tub.
its side.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna rig
How
this thing.
fancy are you? You thinking of, I've never thought of an in-ground hot
How
tub
did
in
he
my
get
life.
that on its side?
Determination
Yeah.
and a
Power.
distrust of the
How
government.
did how
He had
did
to get like a cat to move.
how
like a
did
cat to
those?
move
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
My mother-in-law lives in Ashland, Oregon,
Okay.
and that you fly into Medford, and it is
Oh, really?
a hellhole. That's
Where
where
is
this guy-
Medford? Is that
Medford's just up in southern Oregon, and it's like it is not the place you want to hang out.
Really?
It's the kind of place where they make a booby trap.
Where they go like Portland, Eugene, Medford.
Yeah,
The airport is booby trap.
the airport is booby trap.
It's like, like
planes
comes
can't
in
land.
Tripwire, yeah.
honey, I'm
The
just
planes
gonna,
are hitting tripwires.
honey,
on the
I'm just
way
gonna
in.
go into the Starbucks and whoa!
You know how those on those aircraft carriers, you know how they have those ropes that catch the planes?
Yeah.
That's what they do in Medford. They
Yes,
just catch the plane like that.
And
so
then,
just slam
and then
forward.
they dump like green slime on the front of the plane.
Yeah.
So yeah, they said it was like a scene from Indiana Jones Raiders in the Lost Ark, in which actor Harrison Ford is forced to outrun a giant stone boulder that he inadvertently triggered by a booby trap switch.
By the way,
Full breakdown of the scene.
did not need that description at all.
No.
Like
Actor?
Yeah, and then
Harrison Ford
they
is an
then go
actor?
into Alfred Molina's arc and what his character was about
he had a
for the
pretty
limited
crazy
time.
limited arc.
After making it past the hot tub, according to the complaint, a bomb squad and FBI agent approached the property's manufactured home. That's kind of a slight, right? Saying that it was one of those prefabs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Taking a shot. Little
Taking a
baby
shot.
shot.
Little shot.
Dig.
Little baby
dig.
shot.
Hey.
And blasted open the fortified front door. There's a part of me that thinks at this point, and I know we already said somebody got wounded, but they said made it past the hot tub boulder, right? Then blasted over the door. They're leaning in on this a little bit.
Oh,
where
yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
this is
They're
a
like,
fun one.
It's an adventure.
Yeah.
Also, like, we've never done tactical exercises like
In
this
Medford.
before. Thank God this guy decided to booby trap his house.
Yeah, like this is like we get to go back to like how they prepared us for this job.
Sure.
You have to go through some sort of like test at the end where you climb the wall
Right.
and shoot.
It's like
the thing.
American Ninja Warrior for
Yeah.
these
Right.
people.
Yeah. After making it past the hot tub, that's when he blows open the fortified front door. Inside the home, a wheelchair outfitted with a fishing line, shotgun ammunition, and other items got pushed and
Whoa.
triggered the explosion that wounded the agent, according to a court documents. An X-ray found a shotgun pellet in the agent's leg.
Yikes!
So they now past the door.
A
was-
wheelchair comes at you and shoots at you.
Yes.
And I hope he put like a Halloween skeleton in there that just shoots the gun. Yeah.
Crib,
Yeah.
Crib keeper
the
from
Crib
Tales from
Keeper.
the Crypt. That guy.
You know what this is? This is a disgruntled man whose house was foreclosed upon.
That's
That's what I think.
exactly
And he
what it
said, come get it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he said, you want it? You can
You
have
want
it.
it? You can have
Which
it.
by the
As
way,
is.
I applaud this man. I think this is a smart
Stop.
move. You're gonna steal my house from me? I'm gonna try to kill you.
Oh, man.
Oh, my
I think
Lord.
I applaud this guy. In fact, looking for houses to buy on the market now is so competitive. This should be part of the game.
Yes.
You should have to
Can
complete
you
an
make it
obstacle
through?
course.
Hey,
Can you make it? This is the application process.
Yeah, this is how we weed out the people.
Fine,
that-
you qualify. Yes, according to the thing,
Oh,
you
yeah?
qualify. But
Big deal. You wrote a letter how you like
Right.
your kids will be great in the school district.
Right.
This guy survived a wheelchair shotgun.
Oh, I want to say my horrible joke. It's 20% get down payment.
Oh,
There you go, guys.
Hey,
I gotta get out of here, guys. That's it for me.
Why did that was hard? That was you, Dan.
I know.
We got
Authorities.
the credit.
You've made me more like you. Authorities say the makeshift weapons were created by Gregory Rodvelt.
Love that name.
Yep. And you know Rodvelt was like, "What day you coming?"
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a week.
Uh-huh.
All right.
That's all I need.
See you boys on Tuesday.
He's like biting his lower lip really hard.
You know he's
All
got to
right.
have cameras set up to watch that go down.
Right.
That's
Oh.
got to be. There's got to be a voyeuristic aspect
He's just
to that.
eating chili, watching it go down.
I feel like Rodveld.
Cold chili.
Cold chili.
Yeah,
Rodveld is the answer to what is that jacket made out of? Is that vinyl? Is that
That's-
vinyl?
No, that is straight Rodveld.
That's
To go back
Rodveld.
to, the judge was like, "Do you understand that we're coming to get the house on Tuesday?" Mm-hmm. You do understand? Mhm.
Yeah.
You need to say yes verbally for the court reporter.
Nope. I need to hear you say the word.
Mr. Rodveld, who will be at the location that day? Okay.
Okay.
It's a longer. Dad, I just need to know. It's been 22 years. Do you love me? So we're getting a divorce?
Rodveld.
I hope he's listening.
You understand that we're laying you off today?
Rodveld.
So we're just going to come by the
As-
house and go ahead and remove your badge.
So you're going to move your car? Because you can't park here. That is a pro move. If you did that to people, they would be like, just leave him alone.
So
Yeah, you sound like a murderer.
you started to say his last name. You were like Rod, and it did not. It took a turn that I didn't see it. I was like Rodville,
You're right.
Rodmin,
Velt.
Rodvelt.
Sir, can I see your ID? Well, you can't come into the bar unless you show me your ID. Just go on
Come
in,
on in.
man.
You know what? Come on in. You seem like a
Rodvelt,
killer.
Just whatever.
You
Take
seem
it.
like you're going to take out some people.
In the weeks since the agent was injured, a team of private contractors consisting of this is who they brought in to take down this house.
Like this is Blackwater.
Right.
Yeah.
Former military experts.
Yes, they
Awesome.
And Delta Force. I made up the Delta Force.
Yeah.
The A-team.
They had to get multiple military experts. Guys, everybody, get on into this.
On some level, you should just bulldoze the house.
Okay, so SEAL Team 6 took out
Obama.
Not Obama.
Jesus,
Obama.
Randy.
Obama?
That was for the Dumb People Town conspiracy.
Did we kill
theories.
him?
Obama bin Laden.
Obama bin Laden.
But they send in SEAL Team 7. Like
They're like
one
SEAL
more
next level.
We're going
up.
after Rodvelt today, guys.
Yeah.
Osama bin Rodville.
We're going to get out on this. I'm going to ask you guys, because it's time for a quick game of Guess the AG.
Yeah.
How old do you think Gregory Rodvelt is?
Too much fun leaves marks in life. Living hard, you'll pay the price. Who is gonna get it right? Guess the age. Guess the age.
You are our guest, Andrew Santino.
67 years old.
Ooh.
67.
Didn't even blink.
I know.
No, because I was thinking about it since you said his name. I thought about the scale of time of a disgruntled man who's had a tough life. His wife left him. His kids are gone. They don't even talk to him anymore.
Nope.
He's got all the time in the world, and that's about that time period, that 50s to 70s range. So 67 is what I'm thinking.
These two Rodvelts over
I'm
here.
Rodvelt.
What do you say, Mr.
I'm
Rodvelt?
Rodvelting them.
Randy or Jason?
67.
I'm going to say he's 56.
56
I definitely
years
was
old.
thinking older. and
Okay.
I
I'm going to
thought-
say 74.
74.
I'm going on the other side of
A
Santino.
spry 74.
$1, Bob.
Okay, one of you is only 1 year off.
Oh.
Now,
So we
would
get
you
to-
like to guess who you think it is?
It's me. It's 66.
Okay.
Okay.
Jay?
It's me. It's 57.
It's me. It's 73.
Okay. What if I said now one of you is 2 years off?
All right. It's 68,
All right.
68 years old.
Get your answers in,
Bing, bing, bing.
townies, because Gregory Rodvelt, a booby trap loving man, who will you can have his home, but you're going to fight for it.
SEAL Team
Come
7.
and take it.
Come get it.
Is 66 years old.
Nice.
Santino.
Beautiful.
I can't believe that. That was right on the money. I said
brother.
67, and I didn't even think about it.
You were
I like
so
this
on
man.
the money.
All right, first story down in the book. Dude, if you're going to take a house, just be very, very careful.
But I'll
Watch
give you
out.
a story. This is actually this is
Oh,
crazy.
Well,
That's why-
let's do this after
sorry.
the break. We'll do it
Okay.
after the break.
Save your
Save
story.
the story.
Save
We're
your
going to take a
story.
break. When we come back, Andrew Santino after the break. Dumb People Town. Stay with us.
Stick around, make a sound. There's more Dumb People Town.
Working remotely can be a challenge, especially for teams that are new to it. How do you deal with your work environment being the same as home while staying connected and productive? And then there's your newest coworker, the cat. Well, your friends at Trello have been powering remote teams globally for almost a decade. At a time when teams must come together more than ever to solve big challenges, Trello's here to help. Trello, part of Atlassian's collaborative suite, is an app with an easy-to-understand visual format, plus tons of features that make working with your team functional and just plain fun. Trello keeps everyone organized and on the same page, helping teams communicate, focus, and connect. Teams of all shapes and sizes at companies like Google, Fender, Costco, and likely your favorite neighborhood coffee shop all use Trello to collaborate and get work done. Try Trello for free and learn more at Trello.com. That's Trello.com. Trello.com.
Hey guys, welcome back to DPT. We are back with the great Andrew Santino.
Hey.
A great follow on the Instagrams
And on the
which
Twitter.
is
Twitter's
Cheeto
Cheeto Santino.
and on the Twitter. So good. You had a story about our last, or a story relating to our
Well,
last.
here's why I had guessed 67.
Why?
Yeah.
Because we used to, in our neighborhood when we were kids, we used to go swing on the Kettleman's farm. This guy had a farm, and he had built. He had no more young kids, but he had built a tire swing that was about a 40-foot rope. But he built that to
Lure
just
kids
to
over.
lure kids over.
That's scary.
And I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. He built a little mini hill to start so you could swing on it.
Oh, yes.
And
He
the-
built a hill. He's
well, he-
literally
he-
trying to
yeah.
reform nature.
He moved land so we could start
land.
up at the top of the hill, but he would sit and watch us do it.
That's scary.
And we would get hurt every
Of
time.
course. He loved it.
That was
He
his
loved
booby
it.
trap to hurt children. Yeah.
What's
he
it
would-
called?
guys.
We
Yeah,
would-
what was his name?
Kettleman's Farm.
Kettleman's
Mr. Kettleman.
Farm.
Yeah,
Kettleman's
He had a
Farm.
big black kettle pot out front, and he was so nice, let us play on his land. But he built this thing, and I'm thinking, what a sweet guy.
Yeah.
But in
No.
retrospect, he was like, I want to see these kids
Terrible.
break necks.
I want them to get hurt. And he was about 67?
He was in his late 60s.
So
yeah, that's why I guess.
That's
yeah.
you went straight. You went straight Kettleman.
Kettleman.
on
I
it.
went Kettleman on me.
So wait. So So you live near a farm. Where'd you grow up?
Well, no, this was out in the suburbs of Chicago when I was at around my high school years. This guy owned this huge chunk of old land out in the western suburbs, and we would ride our bikes to go goof around on his farm, and we would swing on this swing.
Jeez, did anybody break anything on this swing?
Oh, I mean, there was a ton of like twisted limbs. Yeah, twisted limbs. You know, like sprained ankles, because we would jump off the swing at the height of it. That was
Would
twisted
you just
limb.
walk it off to you guys?
He would just smile and drink coffee, luringly.
Old man Kellerman.
Twisted Limbs would be the name of the swing if it were at Knott's Berry Farm.
Welcome to Twisted Limbs.
Twisted Limbs.
Sure.
Who wants to ride on Twisted Limbs?
Twisted Limbs. Well, I'm so happy we have you in here. It gives us a chance to tell you how much we all loved your performance in I'm Dying Up Here.
Thank you.
2 seasons on the old Showtime, or 3 seasons?
2 seasons. We got 2.
Vulnerable and angry.
Yeah, that's me. It was a stretch.
And you played a comic.
I loved it.
By the way, it was so difficult but you could tell which actors were comics and which weren't, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, not good, but the ones who were comics, and we've seen you do stand-up before and love your stand-up. It was really amazing. I actually 100% bought that you were a comic from that era, because it's difficult, because comedy I always felt like that was probably the trickiest thing that regular people couldn't understand.
Totally.
Same in like Crashing with Pete Holmes. Very difficult, because Pete is such an evolved comic today.
Right.
To present yourself as the less evolved version of you coming straight up. But
it was so hard. I think the criticism that we got often was, I mean, a lot of people would say like, oh, this comedy is terrible, this isn't even funny, and whatever comment they had about the comedy, none of those people, most of them, the critics weren't alive in the 70s, so they don't even know that much of what we did was very parallel to what was going on in the comedy. We actually took a lot of bits from comics from the 70s and then reshaped them and reformed them into original new bits that were totally organic, but were based on the bits of the time. So when people were like, this is not what comedy was like back then, it's like, well, it literally was. It literally was taken.
It literally
from
was.
The 70s.
Well, I'll give an example of this, and I was talking about it with our buddy Wayne Fetterman, who released last year the Chronicles of Fetterman Chronicle.
Yeah.
It was like a walk through this box set of all of his bits and recorded in different places. And
from the 80s
from the 80s till now. And I remember watching him in the 80s, and I just asked him about it. I was like, what is the biggest difference for you? And he's like, truthfully, what people would laugh at in the 80s, very different from the 90s, very different.
Of course.
So like your material stuff you'd not get away with, but stuff that would get laughs in the 80s, very different from today. And same with the 70s. I don't think people understand that. Go back on YouTube and watch like old Jay Leno.
Oh, yeah,
some
so
of it's
different.
Some of it's funny, but a lot of it you're like, what is this? Like, I don't even know what this is.
Like I remember watching Ellen's first special.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember being like, that's the most brilliant woman I've ever seen in my life do stand-up.
When you were a kid watching it.
Yes. It was brilliant. I was like, this is incredibly, it was just so.
Thing about the Eagles having sex as they're diving.
It was
down
so
to
consumable. It was so like good and well thought out. And then, like now if you look back on it, it doesn't take anything away from it. It's just different. It's just not the same anymore.
As a person who creates and crafts comedy today.
Yes, it's just a uniquely different thing than it used to be then. Comedy is so. The greatest quote I ever heard about Lorne Michaels, he had said, if you want to know what's going on in society, tune into SNL that Saturday, because they'll give a pretty good depiction of kind of what's happening in the world.
What are the biggest stories of the week?
And he says, but when you look back, it's either nostalgically beautiful or tragic. And I think that's so true, because you watch old SNL bits, if they're about politics, they're either really fun and correct or just dive bomb. But that's because it's of the time. Yeah.
So it just, I don't know, what's amazing for me, and again, this is maybe only something that the comedians can understand, and Dan, you're getting a little understanding of this now as well, is, the show is kind of about the Comedy Store or a Comedy Store.
Oh, very much
type place.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if that was surreal a little bit, to like be a staple of the store now and be part of the portraying of what it was like in the 70s.
Because I think it's reaching
creepy.
But it's reaching the glory days again.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's the most.
Insane.
I mean, you talk to some of the old heads that are at the club, and they'll like Dom Herrera used to talk, because he was on I'm Dying Up Here for a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
He used to talk about what it felt like at the store in its heyday, and
now late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, and he says now is more powerful than it was
it's
back
more
then.
intense.
Which is hard to wrap your head around, because we look back on that like.
But like when we because you've been doing comedy for a long time in this city, when you get ready to go do a Comedy Store set
Yeah.
now, and I imagine it was powerful back then too, but you have to bring it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're between Chris D'Elia and Sebastian, and you're bringing up Ali Wong
Diaz.
and Bill Burr's stepping up and Joey Coco Diaz and
Chris
Rogan.
Rock's in town.
Chris Rock's in town going to come in.
And
or
Martin Lawrence drops by.
So
Right.
you suddenly, and Neil Brennan. I mean, you're talking about unbelievable, creative, brilliant. You can't
Guys who headline on the road. When you headline on the road, essentially it's saying nobody can follow you.
Right.
Nobody should follow you because you're the last act of the night, because you are the best act and you are literally unfollowable. That's who you have to follow at the Comedy Store every single
Yeah.
night.
That's
it.
You have to defy the term unfollowable.
No, well, yeah. And so, I mean, Randy and I have had this debate a lot. We'll have like a new piece that's like 40% there.
Yeah.
And we need to get it on its feet and on stage. And if one of the 2 or 3 sets that we're doing the week, because, Randy and I can't get out every single night, which we would love to, but we have families and we have people we need to hang out with and we want to hang out with. And so if one of the 3 or 4 sets we're doing that week is at the Comedy Store, do you cart it out? Do you try this thing that's at 40%?
Well, I always say the OR is probably the best chance to do that during the week. But if you try to do that at the main room on Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, good luck. I've seen so many people do. I mean, Rogan and I had a long talk about that. Like he's working on so much new stuff because he just put out his hour, and he was doing a bunch of new stuff in the main room that he had told me, and he was like, "I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it."
Yeah,
But
very hard.
Even for someone as kind of prolific as him, it's crazy just to watch even him go through new stuff. And that room is so
Segura
tough.
said, my favorite thing is to go into the OR and watch comedians who normally destroy eat it a little bit. He's
yeah.
because that's when you see who they are.
Totally.
He's like, that's when you see how they handle that.
Yep.
He's like that, because look, all my friends and all the people who go up there and perform on a regular basis, they kill wherever they go.
Yep.
So to see them kind of have a little bit of and struggle through it, it's kind of interesting.
And I think comedy, when you put it out there and it's the new version, or you've just finished a special like Rogan's talking about, or you're just trying out a whole new bunch of stuff, it's like we always describe it as like a bad haircut.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm living with a bad haircut right now, and I have to go out into the world. I
Yeah.
know in like 2 weeks or in 4 weeks, it's going to grow in and it'll be fine.
Right.
But like right now, I'm sitting with a horrible haircut, and the world has to see it. I can't hide
I'll
it.
give you a linear move from that. To me, it's like a shirt that you bought that when you bought it, you thought you liked it, and then when you put it on, you feel awful in it.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing: sometimes 2 or 3 months later, you'll put back on that shirt, and it's amazing.
Yes.
It's like that. You're like, this is the best wardrobe ad I've ever had.
That's great.
Because
I
I've
love
had
it.
old bits that I tossed in the trash because I was so annoyed by them because I couldn't figure it out. 2, 3 months later, it clicks back in through my book, and I go, well, maybe. And I try, and it's almost as if it's like
It was better that you put
Maybe
it
Yes,
down.
you
it
put
was
it away
crazy.
and then you re-entered.
And there's no, I can't. That's hard to explain for non-comedians to understand.
Yeah.
But there's something powerful about time, just letting it sit, and then it
how
finds the
you
new
analyze
way out.
it, right?
Yes,
Your new
yeah.
way in, your new way out. That's why I love doing this podcast, really, truthfully, because in so many ways it forces us to think about what is your attitude towards this thing right here that
Right.
we're kind of all getting into? What is our attitude towards booby traps? And suddenly now, almost like we had a whole bit about that in the first
Yes.
segment. What is it? How come they aren't around anymore? And who is the type of person that turns his hot tub on the side and then uses it as an Indiana Jones boulder? It's, to me, fascinating. And
Yeah,
so
it keeps up that thing of just we're constantly peeling it back.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
kind of just that tool. Like we're using that tool
And
whether we're on
developing a
stage or not.
take.
well,
Yeah.
let's jump into another story, shall
You
we?
want to do a story?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. This
Who
was
is
sent
this?
in by Catherine Tuck at Catherine Lorna. Thank you. She sends in a
She
lot
sends
of
it
great
a lot.
stuff.
Thank you.
The tuck rule.
Tucking it up.
Guys, we've got a Greenlee.
Oh, yes.
Explain to Andrew
So,
what a green
What's
is.
a
TC Palm in whatever
Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah, Palm Beach, Florida, I guess. There's a guy who writes Off the Beat. And I think that's the name of the column. Stories.
His name is Will Greenlee.
And
Love
he
this guy already.
injects a lot of what he thinks you should know that
This
has
is-
nothing to do with the
So
story.
here's the question
He
about Will
loves a
Greenlee.
pun.
And maybe you can answer this for us because we have our theories on it. We believe that he has a certain number of words he has to write in order to get paid.
Dude, he'll go on the long. There's a story we did
Like a
with
college
Patton.
paper?
Yes.
Like
Where
it has to fit.
A guy
1500
tried to
words.
attack someone with an anchor, and he went into 3 sentences explaining what an anchor was.
is.
We
So
did another
that's-
one where he wrote for 4 sentences about the difference between a broom and a mop when somebody attacks someone else with a mop.
So either he has words he has to fill, or he thinks he's writing the article to the dumb people in the story.
Right.
Which
Right.
might be true. I mean, your audience.
Know
He's
your
in-
audience. All right.
Some
so we're
people
trying to
love
figure that out.
digress. Maybe
Well,
he
you-
just
okay.
loves
Love- that's what it
So
should be
when we
called.
do it,
Digress.
whenever we get a Greenlee, Dan, we try. Dan plays a game with us where we try and guess if that's Dan
Dan
over explaining something, mansplaining something to us.
Or a Greenlee doing it. Dan is so good at disguising it. So like we all have to, now that you know the score,
Okay.
we all have to guess
ready?
whether it was a Dan or a Greenlee.
Port St. Lucie.
That's where like some spring training is down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, famous band is from there too.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I can't think. Okay,
Okay.
sorry, go.
No, don't
look
ever
it
say
up.
sorry.
I'm
in
gonna look it
Double
up.
I just
Town.
have to look it
This
up.
is made for interjecting. A man accused of hanging out near some dumpsters. That's all.
That's it. I'm good.
Accused of it too.
Yeah.
As though how would you not know whether he did or didn't?
Yeah.
He was either there
Do you
or
have any
not
evidence?
there.
Yeah.
No. He's accused of it.
You look like you've been around some dumpsters. Don't you say that?
Don't
to
you
me.
accuse
Don't
me.
you label me as a dumpster man?
Don't you accuse me
You
of
look like a
that.
dumpster guy.
He had a question for investigators.
Okay.
What is in a name? He asked. Rather than the internal musing of a graduate student in philosophy, it was a question posed September 14th to a St. Lucie County Sheriff's deputy.
Okay.
John Cameron.
Mitchell.
What?
I feel like there's got to be another name there. right? John
That's
Cameron Mitchell.
Three names. It's always
JCM.
3 names.
John Cameron.
John
You're-
Cameron
Three
Thomas.
Finish
first
the
names.
name.
Yeah.
JCT.
Uh-huh.
It's
John,
just John
Cameron, Philip,
Mm-hmm.
third.
John Cameron made the query after a deputy went to an address in the 7600 block of South US 1 regarding a shirtless man, quote, hanging out by the dumpsters, yelling at himself and bothering other customers.
Okay.
I mean, if you end up by the dumpsters, you might be mad at yourself.
If you
What
end
are
up-
you doing?
If you end up
Cameron.
by the dumpsters and your shirt is on, there's a problem.
Right. Take it off.
If your no, if your shirt
Understand-
comes off.
Understand where
We always
you're-
used to say, like, if you see a guy over 50,
Okay.
shirt is off, and he's nowhere near the beach, that's a crazy guy.
That's a crazy,
It's a crazy
that's
guy.
If you see a guy with a shopping cart that's more than 2 blocks away from a grocery store, that's a crazy
Crazy
guy.
Yeah.
guy.
Or super efficient.
Or efficient, but that's a crazy guy. If you see a guy talking to someone and doesn't have a cell phone, that's a
That's
crazy
a crazy,
Crazy
guy.
guy. Well,
Well, no, someone's not there. I mean, if I see someone talking to someone,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
fine.
Still
no,
crazy.
no
You
one's
should be
still
talking
crazy.
to anybody.
Right.
Not on
Anybody.
these streets.
Don't
Okay.
talk to another human
Thank
being.
you.
Not today.
keep to yourself.
Got it.
So yeah, he's a shirtless man, quote, hanging out by the dumpsters. Like hanging out.
By what dumpsters?
That's pretty
Not
vague. That's
walking
vague,
yeah,
by the
yeah,
way.
like not setting up camp.
Not
like wasn't
rummaging
sitting-
in the
No,
dumpster. Just near it.
Loitering.
Let the record state that Dan's grandma just shook her head and was like, no.
No. Yeah.
Rosemary's not on board.
Steer
for a
clear
dumpster
of that man.
They're clear of that.
Grandma
man.
Rose, you don't like guys that hang out near dumpsters?
Oh no.
No. Yeah.
She said
Seems to be a
absolutely not.
unanimous
Emphatic
no.
no.
Unless they work for the sanitation department and
And
they're
they're
loading said dumpster
dumping the
into their
dumpster.
trip. I don't want to talk to that guy.
I love that this took place on South US 1 because Grandma just told me this weekend one of the dreams that her and my grandpa, who's now passed away, had is that someday they were going to drive from Maine down to Florida all the way on the 1. And you could
Aw.
have seen
Could
this
have run
guy.
into
Run
this
into this
guy,
guy.
shirtless,
Pick him up, give him a ride.
yelling at himself.
What's
Invite
going
him
on?
in.
Did you ever hitchhike in your day? Speaking of picking people up? No. Ever?
No.
Did you ever hitchhike?
I've never hitchhiked.
I've
and
hitchhiked once.
Really? I tried to hitchhike here in LA.
You want to hear the story?
That will never happen.
Let's hear it.
Nobody
No
would pick
way.
me up. Literally, I was on Santa Monica Boulevard.
I'm
like
going
in
to an
Hollywood.
audition. Can you scoop me up? Take me to Warner Brothers?
But
Brian
first, can we stop by
Rees
Coffee Bean? I need to hang out and grab a...
My wife and I went camping in this.
Why are you
before we had
doing a
kids.
Heil Hitler?
Because
No,
up
I
in
went
the
up
thing.
in the
Don't
San
you-
Bernardino in the mountains up there, and we parked our car, not realizing it was a holiday weekend. We parked it on Friday night. We set up the tent and camped there the next morning. And what we realized is we parked our car in there. We didn't realize that the gate was going to be closed, and so we were going to come back like the next day or
Sure.
the day after. On Sunday. The gate was closed. We didn't know when it was going to be unlocked, and so now we're locked in with a chain.
Mhm.
And we just needed to get some. This is like, I don't even think we had cell phones with it. We had nothing with us. There was no coverage or anything. And we were locked into this thing. We're like, we got to go. So we went up to the highway. This is so dumb. And we hitched a ride.
I think
And
it's
this
awesome.
Italian couple with a kid
See?
in like a Range Rover picked us up and took us to a local bar. And we called like the the Ranger, and someone came, picked us up, and
Pretty
brought us
safe
over
to
there.
be picked up by a guy in a Range Rover with kids.
I mean,
That
well,
doesn't seem like a
probably
murder.
Italian though, not safe.
Oh,
Why
that's
is he hitting
true.
on my wife in front of me?
I don't know. I was like,
And
there's
they probably
nothing I can do
kidnapped that
about it.
kid.
He's so
Why
good
don't you
looking.
hop in the front seat?
Hey, we
Come
don't
up
have
here.
we
No,
don't have no personal space.
I was
By the
like,
way,
wait, your wife doesn't care?
I love the thought process of the Ranger or the employee that locked you in, because I know that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That guy that was like,
yeah.
I love this. These
Yeah.
idiots are going to come up
These
here.
idiots.
These idiots.
Watch this.
Read
You
the
know,
sign, pal.
Rav.
Why is he from New York? Hey, he just got out
Just
of New
got
York.
out of New
He wants
York.
to hang
Yeah.
out at a Ranger.
I'm in the mountains now.
Hey,
See, I was picturing a Chicago guy being like, "This Diego,
look at this.
this Diego, I'm gonna lock his
Yeah.
We're gonna have
Give
some
me-
fun right now.
Gotta have some fun.
So one of the craziest hitchhiking stories of our lives didn't involve us, but it involved our dad.
Oh,
It was the
yeah.
worst decision by our dad ever, and our mom was so mad at our dad. This is like the first time I think we ever saw our mom get mad. And in the time when we were little, we felt bad for our dad. Now I'm like, she had every right.
to be mad.
So we're driving down to the Lake of the Ozarks. Is that where we're
It's
going?
pouring down rain, and our dad, like, we're in the backseat of our Volare station wagon,
Hell
brown. And he pulls over to the side of the road. It's like pouring down rain. We're like, what is he doing? Like, I guess maybe it's too difficult to see. And he's
Yeah.
all of a sudden, we see in the lights, we see a old guy with a gas can, like waving it like this. And our dad, who has never picked up a Hitchhiker,
Never. I don't know why he did it. I don't know why he pulled
gas
over.
can.
But
Gas
this-
can made it safe.
But I'm
I think
telling
the
you
key
that
element was old man. If
No,
you're
but
old-
like-
oldish,
but
man.
not
You don't
old- not
know. He could have had a
so-
revolver.
You
Your
guys
kids-
were- you
your
guys were
kids,
so
so
young, he
old
was
you was
30.
30, yeah.
Yeah.
could have been like
exactly.
48, like or 50, but like looked like he was 60, and like he could have easily. He looked like. Now, if I think back on it, he looks like a character in a Coen Brothers movie who just broke out of prison.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly who he
Sure.
looked like.
of
Brill
the
cream in
jumpsuit?
the hair, like brill jumpsuit.
You know who he
number-
looked like in Napoleon Dynamite? The guy on the farm across the thing who shoots.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
That
That's
like
the guy you
that
picked up.
guy. He looked exactly
And
like
our
that
dad
guy.
drove him to, and he smelled
He was
awful.
drunk. It's not like he drank the gas in the gas can.
And
That's what
he's
it's-
in the front seat with our.
between our mom and our dad, and like
We're in the back seat, like
what is just soaking wet, smells like gas. It was insane.
And our dad, we must have driven him for like 15 miles.
Your
to
mom
the-
was silent the whole ride.
Our
wasn't
She
she?
mom was
was
silent for the rest of the trip.
So
Yeah.
angry.
Really?
She was seething with
A
anger.
mother's silence is so powerful. The anger is so.
I know
Palpable.
a story from Rosemary. On her wedding day, they agreed, my grandpa agreed to give some friend a ride to where they were going to their honeymoon to like drop this guy off.
just gonna
Yeah,
tag him along.
give him along. And my grandma said they were driving up there and he wouldn't, the guy sat in the back, he would not say a word. He wouldn't speak to them. And my grandma,
my God.
she's shaking her head, yes. She leaned over to my grandpa and she's like, why won't he talk? And he goes, he's embarrassed that he needed a ride from us. He wants to act like he isn't here.
Well, put him in the trunk, Rosemary.
It's true, right?
Oh my
God.
God!
On your
That's
wedding
unbelievable.
day.
You'll
All right,
never
okay.
forget it because it's tied to your wedding
All
day.
right, let's get back to the green.
Here we go. So this dude's hanging out by the dumpsters. The man later identified as Cameron, told deputies he didn't want to be bothered. That's what how you doing, man?
I don't wanna
do
be
not
bothered.
bother me.
Leave me alone.
Yep, I'm just hanging out.
I'm talking to these people over here. You're
You're
alone, sir.
There's no
You
one there.
heard me.
Talking to these, and he points at
They're like,
dumpsters.
no,
these
we
two
did.
people.
No, they heard me. I'm talking
Yeah,
to
I'm talking to
them.
them. Not talking to you right now.
He said he lived down the road. When asked for his name, he paused and started walking away, which is also a pro move with the cop. What's your name?
You know what? I'm getting out of here.
Where do you live specifically? Down the road.
A deputy said he'd buy the man some food and beverage if he provided his name. I like that part
Small
of the
town
story.
cops.
Yeah.
Small town
Hey,
cops.
This
man,
is Jade.
I'll
This
buy you
is-
something. You need something to eat?
City cop story reverse.
Right.
Beats man, throws him in car.
Throws him in dumpster. I mean,
Yeah,
never
throws
gets
him
Like
in
the
again.
time I saw outside of Wrigley Field, I saw a guy hit his girlfriend, and when I worked at the Cubby Bear bar.
What?
It's a much longer story. That's the
Side
end
note,
result.
guys, that happens all the time in Wrigleyville.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not a.
And so we started chasing the guy,
Uh-huh.
and he's running from us because we just watched him hit his girlfriend. He's running from us. There's cops on the other side of him. He's kind of run towards them. They're like, "What'd he do?" And we're like, "He hit a girlfriend." They're like, "All right." And so they start chasing him towards him. Then he turns down an alley. They run down this alley. And then they proceed to like beat the shit out of him.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay,
So we
yeah.
start walking back, and I'm like, that dude's gonna be locked up for a while. And my buddy, was an older Chicago guy than me at the time, goes, "Dan, that guy's never going to prison."
Yeah.
He's not getting quote unquote arrested.
He just
today.
got his jail in that alleyway.
Yeah,
that
they
was jail.
They just
Yeah.
was sentencing.
They
Yeah.
condensed your
Oh,
jail
you
time to
tripped?
5 minutes.
Oh, look, he
Sorry,
he
that
tripped into my boot.
look at the curve.
If anybody
came up and hit
asks
him.
how your teeth came out, say you pulled them out yourself. All right.
Here's some fair play.
It's the truth,
That's-
okay?
hey, that curb jumped up and hit him right there in the mouth.
there. Yeah.
Jumped up
That
real
built,
quick.
yeah, that wall just hit him.
Yeah, it was weird how it pumped out
Came
like
out
that.
of nowhere.
The deputy said he'd buy the man food. Instead, the man said he was Edward Elric, but research into that turned up nothing. That was Cameron's best.
Edward. By the way, I gotta give him
Edward
credit.
Elric.
That's a tremendous name to pull
Sounds
out of nowhere.
so good.
If you told me that was Tiger Woods' real name, I'd be like, yep,
Yep.
that sounds about right.
That's kind of a mixture of both because it's Eldrick
Well,
Woods.
yes.
Edward Eldrick. All right.
Quote, I asked him for his name again, and he advised that he had no name, and then asked me, quote, what is in a name?
Oh, I love it. He's poetic.
Right?
I love this guy.
How does he know what's in a name?
Yeah.
It's a Shakespeare.
A similar question was famously asked by Juliet Capulet and Romeo Montague
What
in
did
the
I
William
just
Shakespeare
say?
play
This is
Romeo
Greenlee.
and Juliet.
Straight up
Greenlee.
Greenlee.
Romeo and Juliet are in love, but they are from warring families.
God.
100,
1,500 words.
What's in a name? To which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. Juliet tells Romeo that a name
Greenlee.
doesn't mean
Greenlee.
anything.
This
I
is-
mean,
She asks,
look at
what
how
is in a
divergent
name?
this is.
Noting a rose would smell just as sweet if it were called something else.
That
I'm
is-
going to ask you guys.
Is that Greenlee
who
or you?
wrote that? Greenlee
Or Dan Van
me?
Kirk.
I know it's you because it's too on the nose. To
I
be the
think it's Greenlee.
No.
I think
Okay,
it's
Randy
Greenlee.
says
Stan.
Greenlee.
That's
Andrew says me.
it is 100% Greenlee.
That aside, was written by Will Greenlee.
Santino,
It was too
don't doubt
obvious.
it.
Don't doubt it. Don't doubt
I
it.
told you
It's like
he
those
explained-
trivia games where it's too on the nose. I was like, can't be.
You
That
almost-
can't be.
It's always too good to be true.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, deputies determined that his Cameron's real name was while at the jail. In the end,
That's what's in a name.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet both die by suicide. Let me take that again. In the end, Romeo and Juliet both die by suicide. An event referenced in Blue Oyster Cult's 1976 song, Don't Fear the Reaper.
That's right. That's a great song.
Who wrote that?
Dan, you
Me?
did that.
That's
Or
you, Dan.
Greenlee?
I want to go with Greenlee now, just for fun.
Okay,
just to
everybody
complete the
says
cycle.
Greenlee?
That's Dan.
I say Dan.
I think
the two
he
of us
already,
say Dan.
I'm
They
the
already
only-
did their Romeo and
switched.
Juliet
Okay,
aside.
okay.
Yeah.
I think
Andrew
it's
says
Dan.
Greenlee, Sklar say me.
Dan.
Yeah.
The person who wrote a little fact about Blue Oyster Cult's 1976 song, Don't Fear the Reaper,
Romeo
as though that had
and
anything to do with
Juliet.
this story, that was written by Greenlee.
Yes! Santino learns his lesson and we don't. Santino.
Come on, you
I'm
guys.
really impressed with you and your Greenlee.
How many words does he have to fill?
Oh, we're still going.
Am I right? Does he have to
12:25.
fill
That's exactly
so
what
much?
it is.
All right.
Here's how I knew that was him and not you. That sounded so specific of a guy of a Greenlee
Yeah.
age. It's a
He
Blue
already
Oyster
I
Cult.
love that song.
Santino already knows what a Greenlee
Yeah,
is.
I know. That's a Greenlee move.
That's such a Greenlee move.
He's a Blue Oyster Cult, man.
In Cameron's End, the man from Port St. Lucie was arrested on charges of providing a false name to a law enforcement officer, and resisting an officer / obstructing without violence.
Right.
Unlike Romeo's friend Mercutio, whose life could have benefited from a little less violence. Who wrote it? Me or Greenlee?
That was Greenlee.
That's Dan.
Andrew?
I'm gonna go with you. I think
Okay.
because you're throwing in a wrench now.
Andrew and Jason say me.
I'd say Greenlee.
Randy says Greenlee.
You're fools.
The score is 1-1 in Who Wrote It?
This is like a dumb
And the
shell
answer
game.
to the aside about Mercutio was written by me.
I knew it.
I'm so messed up.
Rosemary
on this.
clapped for that.
I am so turned around on this. Jay, you are right. This is a dumb shell game.
It's a dumb shell.
Moving the dumbness around
That fools me every time, though.
every time.
I'm going to
So-
ask you guys, we'll get out of here on this. How old is John Cameron?
Too much fun leaves marks in life. Living hard, you'll pay the price. Who is gonna get it right? Guess the age. Guess the age.
A man hanging out by the dumpsters with his shirt off.
you
You
wanna
are
go-
a guest. You can go first, Tig, or third. Tig is second.
Tig is between the two of us. So if you can wait and hear what we have to say, if you
Or
want.
you can go out the gate, or you can go
I'm gonna go Tig.
Go Tig. Okay,
Okay.
Jay.
He's 39 years old.
39 years old from Jason Sklar. Andrew Santino.
46.
46 from Andrew
old.
Santino.
He's 27. And let me just say, first tig or third is a T-shirt that is available at the Fluffy Crate. If you go to fluffycrate.com, you can see that.
Wear that shirt.
Wear that shirt.
First tig or third.
Wear that shirt. Okay. John Cameron, also known as Edward Elric. The man who wanted to know what is in a name is, get your answers in now, Tony, because I'm about to say it, 30 years old.
Oh, yeah.
No
I think that's
way.
me.
Randy.
I say 27.
The young shirtless
30
man.
years old.
Look, I redeemed myself a little bit there.
There
There
you
you go.
go. There
That's
you
the
go.
second story down in the books. We got one more left.
too.
Can you tease it a little, Dan?
tease, Dan. Little taste.
Little touch.
Well, it's funny that the last one was what's in a name because this is about the name of a strip club.
Hey,
Perfect
All right.
for Rosemary.
There you go. We got one more story. Dan's grandma's
Grandma
in the
Rose's
room.
face to that strip
Grandma
club.
Rose.
She was not entertained.
She's
Nah.
like, I don't want to say she was embarrassed, but she's like, can we go back to the guy we gave a ride to on my wedding night? We'll be back with more Dumb People Town. Andrew Santino right after this.
Stick around, make a sound for more Dumb People Town.
Hey there, Adam Conover here. Humans Who Make Games is my podcast where I sit down with the people who created some of your favorite video games and have the kind of long-form personal conversation we so rarely get to hear. We talk about how they got into the industry, what their favorite games were growing up, and what it's like working in the trenches of this century's greatest new art form. This season, we've got a whole batch of new interviews for you. I talked to Kim Swift from Portal, Alex Preston from Hyperlight Drifter, Anna McGill from Control, and Alex Beecham from the game Outer Wilds. Whether you love video games or you just love learning more about other artists' creative process, I can guarantee you're going to love this podcast. So, you can get Season 2 of Humans Who Make Games wherever you get your podcasts. Take a listen.
Hey guys, welcome back to DPT. We wanted to thank everyone who's participated in our drip
Oh, heck yeah.
campaign. That is
It's like our Patreon thing, the drip. It's d.rip/DPT. Please sign up. You get great extra content and all that great stuff there. So-
we're inching our way towards 500. I think we need to make a big leap here. You guys, we can do that, and we appreciate the sport like you don't even understand.
Yeah.
That is true.
all right,
you
so
ready
let's
to do
jump into
this?
one last story.
Sent in by Casey Kustik, Kustak.
I've sent in stories before. Appreciate
At KCK_comedy. Thanks, Casey. A new strip club on the San Antonio's northeast side is not even open for business, but is already causing controversy.
I just can't believe they're opening new strip clubs. Doesn't it seem like
Yeah,
odd that
I thought
there's
they're
like
all
a
there.
new one? I
Yeah.
thought we've already had them.
But like McDonald's and Starbucks, it's like there's always
There's
room.
another
There's
one.
always room.
There's
Used
another
to be a real
market.
nice mom and pop strip club right over there.
Yeah,
And
local
then-
owned.
Yep, and then these guys came
now
in.
it's a hustler
just
store.
Chains.
Before Walmart came in and put in all those strip clubs, all that local work.
I just took it away. Well, it's still local work, but
I mean, the truth
yeah.
is, you could be a greeter at Walmart and then turn around and be a greeter at the strip club.
Yep.
why
Yeah.
not?
You
could do
That's a
both.
Good
The
little day
difference
night.
is a top coat.
Creating
coat
jobs.
And
Yep.
tails.
Same
Top
vest
hat.
though.
Same vest.
Same vest.
Different top hat.
I love this story too because this is what a business would be called in Dumb People Town. Some people fear that the emergency room gentleman's lounge could be mistaken as an actual emergency room. They have called a strip club
Emergency room.
the emergency room.
Gentlemen's
Can
lounge.
you
get it.
imagine these people are in there drinking and
You're
dancing and people are
bleeding
like
out.
run in with
Yes.
a knife in their arm because
Yep.
it's Dumb People Town.
Yes.
I got a bone that needs to be taken care of. You've come to the right place.
At the right place. We'll take care of
You
that.
know why they
downstairs.
named it that, right?
Why?
So husband could tell their wives,
Where
"Where
were
have you
you?"
been? I was at the emergency room.
That's why I didn't come straight home.
I saw a receipt on your Amex bill from the emergency room.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
had no idea that they were serving champagne at the hospital.
Yes.
I like a
It
good.
helps make you feel better, when you're having a tough day.
Crevassier?
This says private dance. What is that? Well, the doctor kind
Wait,
of
there's a
massages.
buffet
Yeah. It's
in
very
the emergency
therapeutic.
room.
It's therapeutic.
It's a special room you go to where they take care of you immediately.
Well, I like a good, clever bar name. Like there was one. I think it's in Raleigh or Durham. It's somewhere. It's like somewhere in that part in the
Yeah.
south. It's He's Not Here.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
That's
I
good.
love that.
Yeah, he's
And
not
then
here.
there was in Chicago, there was the apartment.
Yeah, the
Like,
apartment.
where are you going to go? Let's go to the apartment.
Which,
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the way, looked like it was an apartment.
It did.
It was
yeah.
like a guy's
Lounges
house.
and there was
Isn't there a
swimming
restaurant
place
called
in-
that place we always go to?
Is there? Oh, there
I
has to
think
be.
there is.
That
I
is
think
New York, they
so
had Welcome
funny.
to the Johnsons.
Welcome
that
to the
was,
Johnsons was an amazing bar in New York City
That's
that
cool.
was
Lowry said they made it to look like
Somebody's
somebody's basement.
Well, that's what like Good Times at Davy Wayne's is here. You
Yeah.
walk, you going through like a dad's 1976 garage through a
Right.
refrigerator, and then you're in like a lounge.
It's an apartment complex. that
yeah,
they
and it
actually
really
turned
is.
Into.
There was like 2 apartments above where the bar is, and one of them is the office. The other was 2 dudes in their early 20s who just lived in this shitty little apartment.
So
in Hollywood.
happy to
and
live
then ended
there.
up being because what they would do is just invite everybody up to their place
Yep.
after that bar
Genius.
closed.
And,
What a genius thing.
When I was in college at Arizona State, there used to be a bar called the Library, and I thought that
Yeah.
was so simple
Oh,
and
yeah,
clever. And
yeah.
just, where have you been? To the library.
Library,
I was there
library
all
for
day.
hours.
All
The
day.
library
Is
all
that the
day long.
emergency room, hun?
Yeah.
The
Oh
new
my
club will be located off Loop 410 and Perrin Beidel, I don't know, road, but you can add that to the Dumb People Town walking
I mean,
tour.
if it is designed to look like a hospital, that is crazy.
genius.
Like, has the circular driveway to drop
Well,
off.
according to its Facebook page, it's looking for exotic dancers, waitresses, and sexy nurses, but some have commented that the name of the place is dangerous and a serious public safety. Someone's gonna walk in there with head trauma
Oh, yeah.
at some point.
Is it called just the emergency room
Yes,
or something else
the
as well?
emergency room.
No, that's it. Not
Yeah.
like Mark's emergency room or the owner.
Mark, let's see what you're working with.
Rob's urgent care.
They
Yeah.
fear that people might confuse it for an actual emergency room.
By the way, people are going to.
sure.
Michael Shannon, the city's development service director, that guy can play any role.
Yeah, he's so
Shannon.
good.
I know.
No.
Change your
Mike
shape.
Shannon was a baseball announcer for the Cardinals. Is still.
Whenever I go back to Chicago, I'll roll into the Ale House, and it's not uncommon to find Michael Shannon. That's where he watched the Oscars, I think, last
That
year.
is
There
where
was
he
like a
watched the
story
Oscars.
about it. Yeah. So Michael Shannon, the city's development service director, said that first off, the city found the owners did not apply for a permit to legally put
Okay.
up the sign.
Okay, just him.
Saying
like,
first off? Anytime you say
First off,
Yeah.
First,
he's
here
got
comes a
kids.
list. Here
You
comes,
know he has
Yeah.
kids.
by the way, he's coming in hot. He's pissed
First
off. First off,
You know what somebody does like a
They
press
didn't even
conference?
do that.
They walk up and arrange their papers.
First off.
First off,
Yeah.
just coming in so hot.
so hot.
First off,
means there's a lot more coming.
Oh,
First
yeah.
off, means
2 or
there's
3 more.
First off
settle in.
means that he hasn't been listened to and
Yeah.
he has had it up to here.
I agree.
First off,
The city found the owners did not apply for a permit to legally put up the sign. The owners of the lounge will have to cough up about $300 for not having a permit for the sign. I love when someone's so mad, but that's not okay. Fine, here's $300.
No, you'll fight for that 300.
they're gonna have to cough it up.
I got these emergency room bills.
They're gonna.
We'll submit them to insurance.
Michael Shannon said the staff sent out a legal notice Monday, and the owners now have 5 days to respond. However, the
Even-
actual wording is another issue.
Even cough it up is like it's
Cough
gonna
it up.
hurt. It's gonna hurt you when
Oh.
you
Yeah.
go, cough it up. Go ahead.
Open up a liquor store next to this place called A Little Medicine. The
There
Little
you-
Medicine right next to the
A little
emergency room.
medicine?
A
Yes.
little
Yeah,
medicine.
a little medicine.
Uh-huh.
The pharmacy.
Yes, that's
it,
even
the
better.
pharmacy liquor
Yep.
store.
That's a weed shop.
Quote, our city and state code does not have any regulation on the sign content. So they can't make them change the name because you can put a sign up with anything you want it, which I feel that's a
Absolutely.
major loophole someone's
Well,
going to exploit.
Well, that's America.
Didn't
Yeah.
they say it was located near the loop?
He said, yeah.
Yeah.
He said that
Loophole,
the city
loophole,
does not
loophole.
have jurisdiction over the content of the sign because of, you nailed it, the First Amendment.
There you go.
Shannon said that that staff spoke with the owner on Tuesday and told him about the concerns from citizens. Staff asked him to look at making changes to the sign. So even some of the dancers were like, come on, Mark.
Hey, let's make this right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they know that something's up.
I'm
Why
sick
are-
of being an illegitimate dancer. I want to be legitimized.
Yeah, I know.
I want to dance at a
I mean,
location.
they literally they spoke to him straight through the stethoscope that was in his ears. And they said, Mark, this is a bad
Listen
Can
idea.
you take off the coat so we can have a normal
Mark,
conversation?
this is a
No,
terrible
welcome to
idea.
the ER. How can we help you?
Yeah.
Michael Shannon said it could be anything regarding the sign. Again, I have no code requirement that can make him change anything. Shannon said that the owner did seem open to the concerns and said he would get back to city staff in the coming days about making changes.
I'll get back to you guys.
Which is he's not changing.
I'll get back to you,
No
means
way.
This is great press for him. Why change the name now?
Yeah.
I'll get
Push it.
back to you is the biggest blow off.
I'm gonna circle
in the world.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
get
Circle
back.
back.
Yeah, I'll
Get back.
touch base with you guys when I
Yeah.
figure it out.
Shannon said the owner did understand why citizens have concern. Quote, I mean, when someone brought that up and said someone could be confused to think of it as an emergency clinic or hospital type facility. We could see that a little bit, Shannon said. It's kind of a gray area, so we want them to be clear.
Okay, so let me just say about this. In a time in the country where people just don't admit that they're even wrong, even the slightest
You're giving
bit.
Mark something for that?
The fact that he said, I can see that it's a little bit of a gray area, to me is a major
That's
concession.
a huge step.
Right? Like, can
Huge
we give
step.
him a
That's
lot
an
of
admission.
Yeah, give him some
It's
credit.
an admission that, like, all right, we
Yeah.
may have made
Getting any strip club owner to say, maybe I could have done that a little better is a
It's
big
like
stride for the whole
huge
community.
step forward. Let's just take that for what it is. This is an evolved guy. Welcome to whatever he's going to call it, like
The ER.
acute care. Yeah, the ER. He's going to
Yeah.
call it the ER.
Yeah.
There you go.
You
That's
should call
it.
it ER season 11.
There you go. Perfect
Everybody
idea.
loves-
Clooney's there.
Clooney's
Oh, yeah.
there. Just enjoy it. Cheeto Santino, Andrew Santino. Follow him, Cheeto Santino, on Twitter, on Instagram.
him
Go
live.
see him live. He's got a bunch of shows in LA from now until the end of the year.
That's right.
Do you post it on Twitter and whatnot?
Twitter usually is where I post
Okay,
shows.
follow
Yeah.
him and find out.
Follow him, go
It's
see him
great
do
watch.
stand-up. He's one of my favorites to do it, and I'm so happy you joined us here
Thank
in the
you,
town
guys.
today. And he had Dan's grandma
I
here.
loved it.
Thank you,
Rose,
Rosemary.
Rose.
you were there.
And oh shit, we got to get back to work.
Dum 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 dum. Stick around, make a sound, hunker down. It's Dumb People Town.
It's a good show.